Market traders have sold their produce here for over 100 years. Mangoes, tomatoes, potatoes, fresh greens, beans, carrots, cabbage, live chickens. The early morning market is an icon of trade in Durban, a heritage site right in the middle of one of South Africa's busiest traffic intersections. There have been many trials and tribulations. Police and city crackdowns began in colonial times and continue to today. The traders persevered against these odds. Over the decades, goods continued to move from the market gardens of the province to this hub at the junction of road and rail routes in and out of the city. When South Africa's first democratic government took charge in 1994, the newly elected Durban City Council upgraded the long-neglected market at a cost of 13 million rand. This included a new roof.
We were briefed by the council on about 1997, 1998, and the brief was fairly loose in that what they were looking for was to upgrade the market, to improve it. So we had to find a way in which we could keep them trading while doing the improvements. The impression that I got when we were engaged to do the work here was that the council definitely wanted the market to remain as a market. It was an important part of the heritage of Durban, and it was important for the employment of people that were working there in the market. So they definitely wanted it to remain. They wanted to improve it.
In early 2009, Durban was frantically preparing to host some of the major FIFA World Cup soccer games to be held the following year. The early morning market's days were numbered. Durban City Council unveiled a 400 million rand plan to build a modern shopping mall on the market site, alongside other upgrades and a taxi rank. An estimated 5,000 people, directly or indirectly employed by the market, would lose their jobs. With the FIFA deadline looming, the city manager, together with the Durban 2010 program head, decreed that the market be demolished. This had to be completed before the games commenced. A vague promise of relocating the market traders to a new site was met by fierce resistance from the stallholders. On the same day, the city manager, together with the Durban 2010 program head, formulated their strategy.
This is exactly what I predicted. They are going to try to use this as an opportunity to entrench themselves in Warwick, despite the fact that they have a long history of payment arrears, etc., etc. I would suggest that you meet them and that we immediately issue letters of termination. If we are going to have a legal battle, let's have one now and get it over with, one way or the other. Regards, J.M.
I agree. Let's meet them at 4 p.m. and I will indicate either they accept relocation or we will simply terminate the lease and will only accept into the temporary facility those who do not owe us any arrears. Could Philip set this up, please, at City Hall? Michael.
It was at this time that investigative journalist Beverly Sigarmany convinced me to join her in documenting the unfolding crisis at the early morning market. Over the next 12 months, this was our experience.
Heart is very sore. can't move. I came so small in this market and I got hole in this market. My grandfather brought us here in Springcarts. All the stuff used to come here. Farmers, right through farmers. I never can move. My heart is sore.
Asihambi la imakethe kade sidayisa la sihlezi 100 years asiphumi la.
All the people who's working inside here in the market, once they break off the market, then people, they will starve. They won't get no food to eat. And after that, there's going to be more crime because the people they're going to do something badly for what? For the living. Because most of them, they got the children are in the school. Even this thing, what you call rates, they have to pay for the rates, everything, bus fare, and everything, even the food to eat. You can't live with no food in your stomach. Now we don't know what we're going to do, where we're going to go. Otherwise, we better go dump ourselves in the sea and die.
I was wasn't very well educated. Dad couldn't buy me books when I was attending school, and then I had to give up. And I worked for Bakers Limited carrying 50 loaves of bread in a basket. And thereafter, I picked up myself. I've been a rep for about 20 years on the road. And from there, I came into the market. My brother-in-law gave me a place here. And I'm here about 20 years now. And I paid my rent to date, even for this month here. And the market, I don't know. They're not doing the job right here, or the books, I don't know what's happening. And they want me to make payment every day to enter. It doesn't make sense after you're paying the rent. And it's all corruption. I can't understand.
And presently in this market, they want to relocate us. They want to build a mall on the side of the early morning market with no consultation. And this I find it very difficult. Presently, this government say you got to consult with the people. And I read recently in the paper, the mayor says very proudly, the days are gone. The days are gone. The government don't take a decision. Before take a decision, you must consult with the people. People come first. I think that's what the ANC policy. But unfortunately, this is forced removal. And it reminds me now, it takes me back to the days of apartheid. To me, to my knowledge, the mall they put in is created for the capitalist. It's not for the poor. I must again, very strongly, it's only my opinion, it's my level of thinking. Somebody is milking someone here. Somebody got the finger in the pie.
Me, I'm a Bongi Mteta. I'm working the markets. It's a long time, 13 years I'm working. If you close the market, no job anywhere. That's why I'm asking where you are finishing the markets. If you finish in the market, me got 3 children and old mama and father. If you close market, it's fucked up for me.
I'm here 61 years in this place here. Very same place, 61 years. I never worked anywhere in my life. My mother bought this stall for me, so I was here. Got my children educated. One is a magistrate, one is a lawyer, one is a high school teacher. And then from me, I send them to varsity, university and everything with this flower money.
Tensions began to rise on both sides, and the traders were given permission to hold a protest march. The South African police services, however, told the protesters permission had suddenly been withdrawn. Traders were not permitted to walk as a single group to the city hall.
The market are trading. People that from the time they were toddlers, they grew up. Is that right? Is that fair?
Is respecting the democratic rights of people. We are not seeing that in the case of the eThekwini municipality.
The protesters eventually made their way in small groups to deliver their memorandum to the mayor.
This is our democratic right. Listen to me. Jacob Zuma, our president, said, let's work together. We've been oppressed then, we're oppressed now. Sutcliffe said, on the 18th of February, he stated, he's doing this development because of the World Cup. He's putting a mall on the site of the early morning market because of the World Cup. He's talking nonsense. He talks nonsense when he talks about crime rate. We the traders reduce crime rate. He talks about congestion on the road. Nonsense. Around the market, if you go by Kit Kat, whatever, 4-5 lanes. This is a plot. They're here to assassinate the early morning market.
4 days later, the traders got permission for a solidarity overnight sleep-in at the market. But it was not to be. The city manager called in the Metro Police force to evict everyone. And the traders were forced to spend the rest of the night in the parking lot.
The entire situation turned ugly when the Metro Police decided to forcefully remove the elderly who couldn't walk out of the market as quick as possible. They pushed them around, they assaulted them, which was definitely not acceptable. So to me, the City Council should have not acted in the manner which they have done, because during the course of the day we did ask for permission for this stay-in, which was given to us as confirmed by the newspaper this morning.
Last night the police came when they were all sitting at the various stalls. They had no problem, no trouble, absolutely nothing. Next thing we know, a contingency of policemen came, pulled everyone out of the stalls and pushed them out. So the crowd resisted because they were women. So I told them, listen, they are 60, 70-year-old women who have heart problem, cancer, and some of them have kidney problems. And I said, please treat them delicately. The police, by force, he yelled me, said, take them and fuck off, and pushed me out, kicked me, and he pulled me towards a van to say that he's going to arrest me.
We have now come to an understanding, and we got an undertaking from Philip Satola, who's the head of business support, telling us that no action will be taken against any trader until we have the meeting on Wednesday.
However, 2 days later, when the traders arrived, they found themselves locked out by the market officials employed by the city.
Provoking us. They want us to make angry. We are good people.
The frustrated crowd of traders and market workers waited in the midwinter cold for hours.
If they want to issue any permit, what do we say? We want the rental basis or rental...
After years of few controls, the city council had suddenly decided to strictly enforce the permit system.
That was the easiest thing.
Valid permits are going to be given access. If you've got an ID to say you are who you are, and you've got a permit to say that you are in charge of that store, we would like to give you access. So we want people who have valid IDs and permits to come forward so we can give them access.
They refused to accept this ultimatum and declared that it was everyone or no one. They continued to protest outside the locked gates.
The situation here should not have arrived, because I understand there was an undertaking taken yesterday where the traders will be allowed to go into the market, because we understand what the consequences are.
Eventually, after nearly 3 hours of protest and negotiation, the gates were opened for all. In a lighter moment, the Metro Police negotiator, Rian de Horta, found himself the hero of the day. 10 days later, the traders were once again locked out. This time, the city police had arrived early in force and barricaded themselves inside the locked market. Some traders with valid permits were allowed in, but the gates remained locked to the public.
No traders inside when the gates are locked. It makes no sense. It still makes no sense.
Rumours of some desperate traders selling their produce outside the market galvanized the angry and frustrated crowd to go on a witch hunt, knowing the city police were safely ensconced inside the locked market. They then returned to the market and continued their protest against the Metro policemen barricaded inside the market.
This morning, police opened fire on protesters with rubber bullets, accusing them of vandalizing the place.
On the eve of June 16, police opened fire, this time on elderly women. Some over 80 years of age. The injured were taken to local hospitals. Many said they just wanted their goods out of the market.
There's no food, there's no water, and plenty of my chickens are dead.
I'm an old woman. I'm suffering. I'm alone. Nobody is helping me, so that I don't know what I'm going to do. I'm so worried about them things. I need Zuma here.
On Saturday, the traders were granted a High Court interdict, allowing them to continue trading at the market. But despite this, the Metro Police occupied the market.
Their court order is very clear. Those who have a legal lease with the city are able to go in. If they don't want to go in, I can't force anyone to go into the market.
The criteria they want to use to actually open the market is not acceptable. They want to send the traders in within the market, but they're not prepared to open the gates for the members of the public.
The City Council proceeded to close the market. The traders once again approached the High Court for an urgent interdict. On June 17, they entered the market. The smell of rot and decay was everywhere. Some chickens were not able to survive 5 days without food and water. It was hard to find anything that could be salvaged to be sold.
Most of my stuff have been got spoiled. Over about 2,000 to 3,000 rand stuff all got spoiled. I don't know whether I will get my money back, but I have paid my stall rent.
I want to know now all my stuff, what's going to be. The stuff is rotten like this, and yet I've got a payment to be inside here.
My products all are gone very bad, where I cannot even get half of the money for it. The banana that cost 100 rand a box, I'll have to sell something like 30 rand a box. And what I cannot sell, I'll have to throw it away.
And when more vendors returned to set up stall again, they discovered what else had happened during the forced close-down period. The City Council had secretly sent in a team with a generator and jackhammers. They ignored the regulations that protected the building. The KwaZulu-Natal Heritage Authority, AMAFA, had designated the market a listed site.
These construction guys came inside, they bust the concrete on the stalls, just threw all the stuff around. As you can see, it's all messed up here.
City manager Mike Sutcliffe rejected the heritage status of the building and filed a court injunction to overturn the ruling. A few days later, all interested parties gathered to make their case for keeping the market where it was. Activists brought evidence of the long history of convenience for their customers on their daily commute. The city manager and provincial government officials spoke. The late ANC stalwart Fatima Mir was a lone dissenting voice. She told the city they were being short-sighted and undemocratic, that the market served the poor, the traders and their customers.
The money market, as you all know, is solely run by, I would say, the very poor to the poorest of the people. And we need to maintain that.
The 12th of May, the eThekwini Council was served notice of our rejection. They have 30 days to appeal.
Any trade union that fails to address the interest of its members is not worth the salt that members can belong to. Once you tamper
the Premier decided that it was important that the Cabinet of KwaZulu-Natal should be fully appraised about what is it that has now caused this matter and brought it into the public view.
If I'm owning a building, my tenants are not paying rent, I destroy the building. That is stupid.
So right now, Warwick is not a place that serves facilities, provides ablutions, etc. We've got to sort out how we arrange the trains, the taxis, the buses in that area to make it much safer, much better for the commuters.
Traders were promised that their concerns would be taken to the highest level in the provincial government. 2 days later, after the mass meeting, the City Council once again mustered their forces and descended on the early morning market.
This is my operation. You're going to listen to me. So now we are busy doing the job. These officials are asked them to listen. You must listen to me. No.
Metro police officers then issued spot fines and began to remove goods from traders they deemed illegal.
The crime rate is high in South Africa, the whole world knows. What do the police do? Look after the innocent people, the poor people. That's what the Metro Police does. And who's doing anything about it? They just tell and look and harass the poor people.
Masaqala sithi
uzothola ukuthi kuthiwa akafiki.
I don't know who stole.
Let's complicate this one. Let's complicate this.
Y'all must go to the office because the Barbara gave them the stole.
Where's Barbara?
In a show of solidarity, all the traders unanimously shut down their stalls in an attempt to protect their goods. But the Metro Police continued to impound the fresh produce.
This is forced removal. It's enough now. It's enough. Let's stand together. Tell them not to steal from the poor. Tell the poor, don't steal from the poor. Flip Sotola is raceless. And I'm making a bold statement.
Ironically, that same night, the council's Durban Art Gallery hosted the launch of Working in Warwick, a new book showcasing the urban renewal of the entire Warwick Junction. Working in Warwick focused on how cities could integrate street traders into urban plans. The launch date was a pure coincidence.
Warwick Junction is the location of a City Council project that was extremely innovative in terms of working with street vendors. So the book both records what happened in this area and at the time the very progressive interventions the city made, but it's also reflecting on the realities of street traders more generally. The City Council's current suggestions to build a mall on the early morning market site, which is a particularly important site to people. There's fresh produce trading has been happening at that site since 1880. I think will effectively destroy the area. It's prioritizing formal retail over informal retail, and big property developers and retailers' interests over the small guys. And these people, we know, there are many people dependent on their incomes. We calculated that between 70 and 100,000 people in poor parts of the city depend on the incomes of these street traders.
I think it's very important as a symbol of what it might be if people had a say, a real say in the decisions affecting their lives. I think it's important for Durban because the city, I think, of all the main South African cities, has a history that's somewhat more mixed and flexible than some of the others. And I think the fact that the Durban City Council encouraged and supported this initiative for so long, I mean for 12 years, makes the brutal and abrupt termination of the project that much more shocking. When I told people that I know in Europe about this, they said, are they mad or what? I mean, the publicity must be appalling for the city. What would bring them to smash something that spoke so well of civic responsibility and indeed of democracy in the aftermath of apartheid?
The traders continue to have successful interdicts served upon the Durban City Council to keep the market open. One day, as if out of the blue, a decree came that the traditional barrow boys who carried goods in and out of the market and into town would be banned, as they had no permits to transport goods using a two-wheeled barrow. For decades, these barrows had operated without a permit. Stallholders were now forced to carry their own produce from the delivery trucks outside. A further interdict was served on the council to reinstate the barrow boys. A combined mass march of traders, the unemployed and HIV activists saw a voluntary closing of the market. The ongoing battle was attracting documentary makers, keen to capture the personal stories of the traders. A temporary movie stall was set up in the market for everyone to experience the unfolding dramas. Professional television crews, complete with police protection, also came for a slice of the action. Again, the council called a meeting at City Hall of so-called affected persons, but the traders walked out in protest.
So I would allow them to introduce themselves first.
Viva market! Viva early morning market! Viva!
FIFA! This is our area where stand as South Africans.
Only this morning did I come to know of the memorandum of understanding. And I'm a committee member and I'm totally unaware of such a thing. The market, early morning market, was not included as part of this deal. But all these players are signing an agreement which involves an area which is the early morning market site, and they are operating from Pinetown, Amlazi, and all the other places. How they can become interested and affected parties, I do not know. This is another propaganda being steamrolled. And thank goodness the market walked out in full force.
More and more meetings were held.
And the city since 2005 and 2007 respectively.
Hundreds of people were bussed into one of these meetings from townships near Durban and were given free food. When asked by journalists if they had any connection to the market, they said no, they had simply been asked to come to a meeting. The traders were not impressed.
No more.
A march was organized to protest in favor of a new mall at the market site. After banning the pro-market march, 2 months earlier, an anti-market march was given the go-ahead. Professionally made posters with council approval appeared on street poles. Hundreds more of these posters were handed out to the assembled marchers at the start. All the posters handed out had the same handwriting.
We're trying to fight for development. We are going with development, but there are some people who are against development. To me, it's appear that they are not developed in their mind, because no one can fight against development that we want to achieve today.
Bemused market traders watched as the unenthusiastic protesters took a route past the early morning market. Police made sure that the two groups did not clash. The anti-market protesters then handed in a memorandum at City Hall. Time was rapidly running out for the developers of the proposed mall to complete the project before the Soccer World Cup commenced. Numerous successful court interdicts against the council was on the traders' side, and they had international support too. A month later, the early morning market traders once again marched on City Hall. Time itself was now on the traders' side. The window period to commence construction on any developments had closed. FIFA rules decree that no major development could take place during the Soccer World Cup period. In May of 2010, the traders made plans to celebrate 100 years of the early morning market. Unsigned posters forbidding the event appeared in the market, claiming to be from the market master. The celebrations went ahead regardless.
This market is making history today, ladies and gentlemen, and represents a new turning point in our history, and where eThekwini Council sold us out to people who have had much more and better chances in life than many of us, if not all of us, present here today. Council is on the wrong side of history. As for the developers, I am told this is their third shopping mall. Is that fair? Is it fair on us, where all you have is probably 5 or 6 square meters, and that is how you've supported your family, you've sent children to university, and you have made professors, doctors, lawyers, but everybody still remembers their roots in the market. To me, apartheid is still alive. You can see it here today, where council, and we don't have to say which party they represent, tried to stop this, but thanks to the Legal Resource Center and the advocate, this meeting here went ahead.
For the next 5 years, the traders were left alone. The council's maintenance on the market was minimal. Former city manager Mike Sutcliffe still believes the city council's plans for Warwick Junction would have been better than keeping the market.
Firstly, I've got no regrets. The real tragedy of Warwick was that because we couldn't do that facility, nothing ended up happening. Because the state then said, well, sorry, this money that we'd made available for purposes of the World Cup disappeared. And they said, well, sorry, until such time as you come back to us with a proposal, and it will no longer be a proposal to actually try and accommodate traders, it will simply be a trader to accommodate public transport, as it were. So the state said, as soon as that comes back, take back the 500 million in there, that we were going to put in to create this facility there.
Harry Ramlal, early morning market chairperson, believes the market will stay.
We've been to court, and unfortunately the municipality didn't keep up to what they actually said initially, and we feel that yes, we have won because the market is now, after 5 years after court action, and the market is here to stay. Obviously they cannot let the market be in the condition it is in, because yes, over a period of time we've been an eyesore, and especially the entrance of our city. You cannot have an eyesore at the entrance of a city, so obviously they need to beautify it. And the early morning market has started at some 35 years ago, where our black traders, Indian traders, and everybody else worked in harmony for the past 35 years. And to us, that is transformation by itself. That's long before the apartheid was we got rid of apartheid. And yes, you want to look at transformation, the early morning market is the place. And currently we got Indian, blacks, colors, all trading side by side, and we are happy about that.